Hello and welcome to Legislative Report. I'm State Senator Mario Scavello of the 40th Senate District in Monroe and Northampton County. And this is a real special show because first, one of my guests is Carol Andersen, the Executive Director of Bloom. Are you the founder as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and I've known you for quite a while. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Jana Morris, you're the Executive Director of Recovery Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh, look, I really thank you for joining me because it really gives a different perspective on the type of shows that I normally do. Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk about first, how we knew each other, and then we'll go into me meeting you at the Blue Valley Fair the other day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, several years ago, you were instrumental in helping us at Women's Resources of Monroe County. I was the race director for their 5K that they hold every fall. And we had some issues with being able to cross one of the state roads there. And while we originally thought the race route was going to be approved by the local people, we found out just a few days before the race, I think it was 4, that we were not going to be able to cross that state road, which was on the course, without the permit. So we called your office, and within 24 hours, I was on my way to Allentown to pick up the permits. So thank you. That was something that usually takes months.
Yeah, it
does. It took hours. But it was really important to the success of the event.
And really it was as successful. I was out there.
Absolutely. They're
I
doing it
couldn't
again
believe the crowd. Yeah.
on the 23rd of October this year. So
Are you going to be involved in that as well?
No, I'm not, but I may go. So,
Yeah. Right.
But really a great organization. I learned an
Yeah.
awful lot that helped propel the work that I'm doing right now in my own home community.
Okay. Jana, talk about yourself a little bit, and then we'll.
I've been in the addictions field for 16 years, and 11 years ago, I got an opportunity, and with the community, I and a partner started Recovery Revolution, which is an outpatient drug and alcohol treatment center, and just huge community support, uprising, a lot of people just helping us through the whole process. It was very difficult, but we went from 2 employees to now we have 16 employees.
Wow.
In 11 years. We just celebrated our 11th year serving the Slate Belt community and beyond. And we also run a recovery center that's funded by Northampton County, drug and alcohol. And we just do, our mission is to have programs responsive to the needs in the community, which are continuing to rise.
Which brings me back to Carol, and Carol, tell us what you do, and then the connection.
Well, I work at Bloom Bangor. We are a walk-in creative space in the downtown area of Bangor, historic district of Bangor, I guess you could call it, but it's on Broadway, and it's a 2,400 square foot storefront that looks like an art room that you would find in a school or even a studio space. But it's a complementary piece to our 2-year residential program for women, which is modeled after the remarkably successful Thistle Farms program in Nashville. So we work with up to 8 women who come to stay with us for 2 years at no cost to them, and they eventually, through a partnership with Recovery Revolution, they receive outpatient recovery services, and then they come to work at the studio. We offer art therapy at the studio, but then it will also be a supportive workplace for them so that they can gain employment skills in a variety of things, from marketing to sales to customer service to cleaning, sorting, and even some of them are already teaching.
Wow.
So we do kids' birthday parties, adult events, we do team building for corporations. It's just a great whimsical creative space where people can explore that kind of any kind of crafting or painting. And then certainly it is as a nonprofit, all of our proceeds, any of the revenue generated at the studio goes back into training these women, giving them a job.
So I can see the therapy piece is so important.
Absolutely.
Because what do? You need to be able to occupy your mind, and am I correct? It's just...
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of healing in exploring the creative arts, and that's, the art therapy has been around. It's certainly not anything new, but they're finding that in different areas, people that have trauma in their past, and many of us have, or even in addictions, they're finding that art therapy piece, music therapy, is just giving some great results in treatment. So we wanted to incorporate that as part of the program. certainly through a partnership with Recovery Revolution, we couldn't do it without them, but to also then give this population an opportunity to start over.
So how many years have, you said that 2 years you hold the young lady stays there for 2 years, and then after the 2 years you hope that she'll be able to get an apartment, have a job, and be set herself up, correct?
Yeah. Well, the amazing thing is that Thistle Farms has shown they follow, their program was started in 1997, and they have an 80% success rate for those that are coming out.
That's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. And so what they're finding is that those people who complete the 2-year program can graduate and go on to, they really stay connected to the organization for life, and we want to view it as that as well for ours. But because they show such promising rates of success, we felt that it was something to bring to our own community. So several years ago, I, along with myself and another coworker, Terry Wilson, went to Nashville for 3 days to meet with Thistle Farms, and along with about 200 other people from around the country, we were taught this model. And we are now one of 23 communities nationwide that are replicating this. And it's small. I mean, we're really only working with up to 8 women initially. We opened in March, and we're nearing our 6 months in. That'll be September 8th since we opened our doors. And we get a lot of support, practical support from Thistle Farms, and hope that we can do something new. I mean, essentially what is being done in short-term recovery is something we want to build upon. So we want to extend that.
Are all 8 women still with you? Or has there been a...
No.
No? Some can't do it.
Right. So Thistle Farms, has a spiritual aspect to it, but every day they light a candle, and what we do is we say we light the candle for that woman who's still out on the streets looking to find her way home, and we'll continue to light that candle daily for those that have not been successful in the program. And it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people, they can recover. They have those resiliency skills built in, and they have the social capital surrounding them, and a family perhaps, or a support network where they can be successful after that rehab stay. But what we want to do is, with the services that are provided through Recovery Revolution, they can continue those recovery services on an outpatient basis, and then once they're in the program, for a little bit of time, usually about 3 months, they'll start working, and then we actually had someone start school at Northampton County Community College last week. Yeah, so not only is she earning a paycheck and paying taxes and paying back,
but she's educating herself and helping her for the future.
Absolutely.
That's great. So I guess I always think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but usually the recovery is much better when they're away from, and how do I put it, not at another facility. Stay there and not. Am I correct? You know where I'm going at?
I do. I know.
But it's not for all.
What I would say is that some people need relocation, but we also tell everybody, you're taking you with you.
Yeah.
So people can relocate, and the problems are still there, obviously. So I personally love the Thistle Farms model. In fact, like I have a personal just love for the model and understanding. I did my honeymoon down there in 2013. We raised money and we went and laid a floor down at Thistle Farms for a week.
On your honeymoon?
Yeah.
They're known as the honeymooners down there.
Yeah, actually that's what they call us.
On your honeymoon, you went to lay a floor. That's great.
We just, the love that we had for each other, we had to give to other people. And that's the model at Thistle Farms, love heals. So we decided that Nashville was the place we were going to go, and Thistle Farms was a phenomenal model. It's the exact opposite of the recidivism rate across the country, which is around 80% of going back to using. So if they're doing something right.
It does work.
Yes.
It
and
work.
the whole 28-day or less model, they've had a lifetime of trauma and of abuse and systems that have failed them repeatedly. And this model is completely different. And this model is not about what have you done, but what has happened to you, and how can we partner alongside of you and give you the assistance that you need to be successful.
That's a very good point. So it's 2 years, and so it's not 28 days.
Right.
where then you're out there on your own. And some insurance carriers now trying to reduce that number to 21, which definitely is just a complete waste of time.
We're seeing people that have heroin addiction problems out in 9 days from insurance carriers, and 28 days sadly seems to be a utopia now, which is not enough time to begin with. But yeah, we're seeing less and less days of stay. Then they want to manage them at the outpatient level, and they continue to relapse. And then everyone looks at the person that's struggling with addiction as being the problem when it's a failed system.
We spoke about it off camera, but for the viewers, it is probably the biggest problem facing America today. Mm-hmm. In the 80s, we talked about the war on drugs, and I don't know if you guys probably weren't alive then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks.
She wasn't, I was.
So anyway, today, if we continue to go on the route that we're going this year, there will be more deaths to heroin overdose, drug overdose, than there were in the whole 12 years of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Which is just unbelievable when you tell those numbers. And we're not talking about the saves. Right. There was maybe another, across the country, could be another 5,000, 10,000 saves that by using Narcan, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know what? Pennsylvania is leading the way with the Narcan and the overdose reversals, and they're doing a lot of great things. I have to say, Pennsylvania has stepped up a lot of different things. But it's easy to look at numbers, but I look at families, and I look at how, like, the mothers that are losing their children that are 18 to 25, and they're the kids that end up passing away are always the most charismatic, lovable, and they got on the wrong path in many different ways, and they one more time and they just are no longer. And it's a difference between the purity of drugs. It's a difference between the lack of systems to help, the barriers to treatment, the barriers to trying to get someone to inpatient. Yeah. And we struggle every day. We fight for every one of our clients to try to get them where they need, and there are tremendous barriers that stop people from getting help.
We know here at the state level that some of it was started with opiate addiction, with the painkillers and all, and we've done a pretty good job now monitoring, limiting. For example, if somebody was on workman's comp and hurt his back or something, you go to the doc and he gives you enough for 60 pills or whatever. Can't happen anymore. There's a limit, and we're watching that stuff very closely, so that part gets tied up. But now the other side is, and it's where it's coming from. It's going from China to Mexico and into the United States, and in some cases Mexico's learning to grow their own.
Yes.
And the thing is that they're spiking it with a tranquilizer, a horse tranquilizer, or elephant tranquilizer, which is what I just heard about that one.
Fentanyl, and then they have, and it's hard even to keep up with, honestly, because then it's like, well, this was 100 times more powerful than morphine, and this is now 1,000 times more powerful, and our law enforcement people are doing a tremendous job trying to keep up with it, but at a certain level, even the Narcan isn't going to help. And the worst part about it is in the addict's mind, when you're in your throes of your disease of addiction, when there's a powerful drug out there, you don't think, oh, that might kill me.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite. This is a great high. I want to go for that. So it's a reverse thinking because of the disease of addiction.
I was talking to some EMS professionals, and they're telling me that in some cases, the addict would call 911 and then take his. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that they'll be there to save him. Yeah. It's like playing Russian roulette.
It absolutely is. And with the Narcan, you don't know how many doses the person needs. You need enough in order to reset the opiate receptors, and so the Narcan lies in there. But you don't know. I mean, I've talked to our law enforcement in Bangor, and they gave them 2 and 3, and
wow.
Yeah.
How about the same person that you've used it, in a month 3 or 4 times, you've gone to him to save him. It's just, it is scary. And like I said, the Commonwealth put about $25 million into the budget this year to make sure that we have enough treatment centers and money's available to help people. But federal government's got to do their job as well. And of course, like Northampton does a pretty good job sponsoring yours, and variously all the other counties are doing what they can. The 67 counties are doing as well. But the feds have to step in and protect the borders, because it's not going to go away.
Correct.
You got to stop it from coming into this country. And stuff is so cheap too. It's not like in the old days where it was expensive.
Right. And medicinally, we move from being able to restore some mobility to killing pain. And when you kill pain, and that's what our motive is, you're killing emotional pain, you're killing everything, and that is a slippery slope, So it's producing a different type of addict. And the move from prescription drugs to heroin is really an economic thing. So it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's more powerful. So, the progression there is really quick, but it isn't always a better high. It's sometimes very economical. I don't have my script anymore. Now I'm getting sick. Now I have to go and do this.
And the script is, we're tightening up on the scripts. So
they've just begun this?
Yeah, and we're pushing them. And we're pushing them now. You hope that they don't go there, but that's where they end up going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Carol, let's go back to Bloom.
Yes.
Because what you do is you're going to create miracles and you don't know it. You really are.
Well, they're creating the miracles themselves.
Well,
and I will tell you that these are pretty courageous individuals that have agreed to give up 2 years of their life to really deal with some hard issues. Thistle Farms has told us that most of the individuals that come into their program have been sexually abused or had some severe violence in their life before the age of 8. And they go on to be vulnerable on so many different levels, whether it's economically vulnerable or many of them are trafficked into prostitution or trading sex for drugs or shelter or safety. And those are some of the issues that we want to address. So our program is trauma-informed. We take a trauma-informed approach, which really deals with, like Jana said before, what has happened to you. And so we have a trauma therapist that is working with them. There is evidence-based programs that are used by therapists at Recovery Revolution, and that's something that's going to help them walk through those difficult seasons of life, that they were using the drugs to numb some of that pain. But then it creates issues that over time have taught them things, inappropriate ways of coping with life in general. Many of them have, as you probably know, and as Jana can tell you over and over and over again, they've burned so many bridges that for them to start over is nearly impossible. So we believe that this is something that's, we get to do. And as a community, we can help these women start over. So not only
it's a much stronger community when you're able to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't take any state or federal funding, and that's one of the requirements to be a Thistle Farms sister program. They refer to us as the 23 of us around the country that are doing this. But the important part is this social enterprise, which is kind of this new concept where you create a business that earns revenue, where not only will it give them a job, but it really gives them something to be proud of.
Sure.
A place to go to every day. We're already having, we put 3 women to work already, and one of them has never had a job before.
6 months, 3 to work. One has never had a job of the 8.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And so it's up to us to do this.
Yeah.
And so we're doing it. We had one of our sponsors of the studio. We started the studio over a year ago as a way to work through some of the challenges that starting a new business brings. And one of the sponsors of the studio said, I really want you to get started with that residential component. So they went out and purchased a house for us in the community. So we're reducing some of the barriers we've given them a place to live. They don't need transportation because the recovery center.
Route. Plus, it's on a bus route, right?
It's on a bus route, but we wanted to taking that bus. The bus goes maybe every hour.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not really something that we want them to rely on initially. So it's very, very structured. This is not a vacation. I mean, it's really an awful lot of hard work. They attend a lot of groups. They do a lot of talking. They revisit parts of their past that they've numbed, some of them for decades. And we're helping them walk through that season, but then also giving them that support system. The recovery community is very strong in the Slate Belt. These are people who have walked the road of recovery for many, many years, some of them that are coming alongside, and there's a lot of accountability involved.
Sure.
So all of these pieces were important, and Thistle Farms told us that you could give someone an opportunity to heal, but the important part is to give them a job and an economic opportunity to build some capital there. So start a savings account. All of them have to do that. Opportunities for education, which we all know is the key to a very, very bright future.
Exactly right.
So what are some of the barriers there? Northampton County Community College is one of our partners that comes in and does a 6-week program where they can explore career options. And then
at Bloom?
they come into Clean Slate,
Okay.
the community center.
Wow.
So this partnership has really provided tremendous opportunity for our program to be a place where women can be successful.
You have any other partners outside of that, like Northampton Community College? Anything else like that?
Recovery Revolution. I mean, there's certainly our sponsors are
You have
fantastic.
sponsors that show up as well.
Some of the banks have been.
Many people from the recovery community. One of the things that the founder of Thistle Farms says that, people look at prostitution or drug addiction and they say, why, or they start judging. And she said, well, if prostitution is your choice, then what are your other options? And with poverty and with all these other huge issues that we're looking at, and it takes a system and a community of broken systems to get these women to where they were to begin with. And it takes an entire community to get them back together. And that's really exactly what Carol's doing with the community with a whole bunch of other people behind her. And it's an amazing thing. And I constantly say, there's one in Nashville, Tennessee, and St. Louis, and Bangor, Pennsylvania.
Bangor, Pennsylvania. You're on the map.
Yes.
That's great. And the great thing too is that certainly we welcome donations. I mean, that's certainly sponsorships from businesses that's going to be important. That's going to propel and help us sustain and help us to continue to explore how to do this. But the other option is that as a consumer, you can have events at our studio. I mean, the paint parties are certainly something so fun.
You have a paint party.
Yeah, paint. People come in for 2 hours. You're provided with all the supplies. We have probably up to 10 different artists that teach painting, metal stamping on jewelry. We do all kinds of mixed media art on canvas and wood and glass. So it's a great place to hold, bridal showers or special celebrations, graduations, kids parties. We do an awful lot of kids events.
And they have an open studio where you can take your children and just explore different things. You can purchase some kind of art project and do it there, or just let them create things, and they provide all the space and clean up. It's wonderful.
So even several of the women in the program are going to be teaching art classes. So they're all ready to work doing birthday parties and things like that. So it's a great way for businesses to come in and do team building events, or individuals to host parties there. We even take our parties on the road, and we'll come to your home or business or restaurant. Pocono Medical Center, their Ladies Auxiliary had us in at the Sycamore Grill in Delaware Water Gap, and we taught 75 individuals how to paint on glass.
Wow.
So really, we'll do a party from 8 to 75 certainly. We pull it off. So we bring everything, and we even clean up. So it's just, it's a great way to give women, to teach them a work ethic and to work hard. And they're certainly willing. And these are people that are just waiting for us to help them and to give them an opportunity to do the hard work to start over.
We have a few moments left, so I want to talk about you have a big fundraiser coming up at, was it October?
October 9th.
October
it's Sunday.
9th.
It's Columbus Day weekend. So it's going to be a great family-friendly event. We're going to have lots of games. We're having a chili cook-off, some music, opportunities for baskets and raffles and things like that. So
And all the money goes to help pay for the program.
Yeah, we'll go to help pay for the program and help women start over.
And I think it's important that there's no tax dollars that go to you. You don't want tax dollars. Am I correct?
Well, any kind of dollars at this point would help us, but you're right. The whole point is to have the community help them start
The community, you want the community.
Yeah, I mean, right now, what Nashville has told us is that down in Nashville, it costs them around $90 a day to keep a woman in prison. But in their program, in their residential program, they can put a woman to work and give her housing, medical care, access to recovery services, and help her heal for half of that.
Imagine that.
And so really it's taking no taxpayer
And it's
dollars.
helping her heal,
Absolutely.
where prison does not.
Well, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they started 20 years ago with nothing, kind of just like us, building a social enterprise. We're thankful that they've already paved that road for us, and we're following in their footsteps. They have 55 of their graduates that work at their social enterprise that now it's a $2.5 million a year company, and that's outstanding. They didn't see this 20 years ago, but really when a community comes together and says, I want to put my consumer dollars into social enterprises that are really making a difference in the community, we're going to change the future for people that really had no chance before.
Wow. Jana, you have an event coming up. Talk about your event.
We do a fundraiser every year for individuals that cannot afford treatment, mostly for adolescents. But for other people too, we partner and we work directly in the schools. So we're partnering with Easton High School, and we're having an event at the Easton Middle School, and we do a tricky tray and a food tasting event, and then we have a recovery comedian coming in and talking. His name's Jesse Joyce. He's a writer for many different things. He's on Red Eye. He's on a bunch of different programs, but we're very, very fortunate to have that, and we just are very happy with our partnership with Bloom. We help sponsor them in some things, and it's too many times nonprofits argue or squabble over dollars, and we want to support and we want to build our community stronger more broadly. So. But the fundraiser is October 15th.
I was going to go.
Sorry, I went on something else. October 15th.
October 15th.
Yes.
But we'll put that information on
Thank
the
you.
screen as well. I'll try to make both your fundraisers, I
Thank
promise
you. Yeah, well, let me give our website too.
Sure,
because
go ahead.
you
Go
can
right
make
ahead.
reservations online. Our website is bloombangor.org, and you can find us on Facebook under the same name, Facebook/Bloom Bangor, and you can like our page, certainly sign up for events that way. And
The fall fundraisers on Facebook as well.
yeah. So that's a great way to help us out. If there are any businesses out there that want to become partners with us and help us, or if they just want to reach out to me and talk with us a little bit, we'd love to come out and meet with them and bring some of the women in the program.
That's great. Well, you have a website?
Yes, it's recoveryrevolution.org, and we're on Facebook, and a cleanslateBangor.org. That's our recovery center that's across the street.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jana, Carol, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
very
me.
much.
I think it's a great show, and it gets people to see a different perspective of things that we do at the state level and what's going on in the community, and something to be very proud of. So I thank you
you.
both
Well,
of you
thanks for
very much.
inviting us.
my
Yeah.
pleasure.
Well, thank you for
My
inviting me.
pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm just a tag along today.
Well, we certainly would love to come back at some point in
Okay.
the future and bring some of the women in the program.
Certainly.
Thistle Farms has told us about 6 months in, it's a great time to start coaching them.
Let's look
because-
at it for next year.
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be great. Thank you.
Good. You've been watching Legislative Report. I'm State Senator Mario Scavello, the 40th Senate District, Monroe and Northampton County. Information will be up on the screen. If you have any questions, please contact our local office. Thank you very much, and see you next time on Legislative Report.